Hi everybody, I hope you're all well. So video number 4 of the day, and I've swapped things up by putting on a hoodie because it's gone a bit dull. So I don't quite look the same in this video, but you know, still wearing the same top. Anyway. So this video, I have done something that I've been requested to do by a few people, and so I was like, well, if people are really interested, I'll make a video of it. And what it is about is the Catherine Cookson dramas. Now, in case you haven't seen any of my reviews to do with the Catherine Cookson books I've read so far, I got the Catherine Cookson drama collection in June of this year as a birthday treat, because I had gone into Catherine Cookson dramas thanks to the drama channel here in the UK about a month before, and it became a thing that Sunday I was just sat watching them, and then, well, I'd watched one at my mum and dad's house, and then the following Sunday I did the same, and then I found that there was a load on demand, so via my Sky Plus box, and so I downloaded them and I started watching them and such, but they didn't have the entire collection, and my birthday was in June, mid-June, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to buy myself the collection, and I watched all of them and I liked them. Some of them I absolutely loved, some of them are just okay, and some of them I'm not that fond of, but you know, I'd still sit and watch them, and there aren't any where I just go, I will never ever watch that ever again. Okay. But yeah, so I was like, you know, I need to get Catherine Cookson books, which led to my sister giving me her entire Catherine Cookson collection, and I've added a few more to the pot, so I've got like 20 odd books now. And when I say add a few, I mean I've added a few, because like 16 of those 20 books were from my sister, so yeah, it's not me, you know, understating how many books I've actually bought. 16 of them were from my sister. And I've talked about the dramas in my various reviews, but people wanted to hear my ranking of the dramas, which is what I did when I got the box set and I was going through them all for the amusement of my sister and our very good friend Sarah. Hi Laura and Sarah, if you're watching this. So people have asked me to do the ranking. So here I am. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'm going to try and get through them as quickly as possible because there are 22 dramas in total. Yes, I know. I've got them all written down here with some cast members as well, so I can refer to them. And also I've got my Catherine Cookson books beside me, and if I happen to have the book, I will hold up the book as well. So because I don't have the books of everything. So I'm going to start at the bottom and end at the top of my list. So at number 22, we have The Gambling Man. So this stars Rotten Jerome, Sylvestre Letouzil, and Bernard Hill, amongst others. I only picked out like 3 or 4 names in each drama cast, because there are so many. I would be here all day if I was to list all of them for all 22 dramas. So this follows a man called Rory, and he really likes to gamble. He's always really been into gambling, and with the situation at the time in which this is set, with industrialization and issues with jobs being around and such, he finds gambling a way to help him forget that stuff, but also tide him over while he deals with this, that and other, and try and clear his debts. And as always in Catherine Cookson books, there's various things that happen from time to time. There are a few women that he gets caught up in, and this one ends in, or at least the drama ends, because I haven't read the book yet, ends on a pretty sad note, which is quite rare for a Catherine Cookson story, but they do happen from time to time. And the reason why it's last is because, for me, even though there was some interesting elements to it, I don't want to spoil, so I'm saying elements rather than saying specifics, that was just really it, and I didn't care about Rory. I mean, compared to other dramas, and it's the next one on my list, it's a good high quality. But it falls lower because I didn't care about characters. I couldn't really get into it, and I wasn't all that fussed by the ending. It's a sad ending, but I didn't feel sad. It was just like, oh, okay, that's right. Um, Robson Green is our main character. Our main actor. He plays Rory, and he's good in the part. You kind of feel that he does belong in that world, but at the same time, I very much could feel this is an actor saying the lines, not this is the character. Like, he hadn't embodied the character of Rory for me. It was just okay. So for that, it gets the bottom spot. Now, the next spot goes to the Mallon Streak. This is the first book in a saga. Well, it's a trilogy of books, but the drama, they made it into 4 parts. So they've, there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on in the Mallon series. It very much reminds me of Wuthering Heights on acid. There's so much stuff going on in this. I'm like, how the hell did she get all of that into this thin volume? Just, oh my god, it is mental. It basically follows the Mallon family. So the main Mallon family member is Thomas. He's the head of the household and everything, and he has various sons. But one of his sons is illegitimate, who's been raised on a farm in the area. It's kind of thing that he can see him from afar. And the thing that makes it very clear that he's an illegitimate child is because he has this distinctive white streak in his hair. It's a genetic condition. It's an actual thing. It isn't just fictional for this story, but I can't remember what the condition is called. And so everyone can see, oh, this teenage lad is walking around with a white streak in his hair, and the big guy at the top of the big house also has white streak in his hair, and all of his sons, that kind of thing. And it basically, the Mallon saga follows this family from Thomas's generation forward to the next 2 generations. 1, 2. Yeah, so the next 2. So it covers 3 generations in total of this family. And there are various actors in it. The top ones are John Dutton, David Ringtrell, there's 4. Caroline Blackiston and John Hallam. Now, this is one where it's the production that's problematic. It's 1970s. It's one of the first dramas that they did. It's not that great quality. You can tell that they've got very, very little budget. It's not shot well at all. And there's these really long periods with no music. It's literally like you hear say if there's a dramatic fight happening, you can hear them punching each other and running out of breath and all that lot, but it's just a silence, and it's like, I'd expect something more and the editing to be a bit better, but it's not great. I put it above The Gambling Man though, because I did care about characters, so that was the difference. Gambling Man was the better quality put together, but I didn't care about the characters, whereas the Mallon Streak was the other way around. So that's why I had to put this one in the number 21 spot. So yeah. So that was the Mallon Streak. Then we have one that I don't have the book for, called The Dwelling Place. And The Dwelling Place is about a woman who she's from a very poor family, and one day both of her parents are killed in like an accident. I can't remember a specific. There's always accidents and death and disease and sort of going around Catherine Cookson books. And she is the eldest child of about 5 kids or something. And it's about her trying to survive when she has got literally nothing, and they've got no home, no food, no water, nothing. And they find this bit of land, sort of like a cave, and they refer to it as the dwelling place. And yeah, it follows her story and how she survives, basically. And it stars James Fox, Lucy Cohu, Tracy Whitwell, and Ray Stevenson. Now, this one was of better quality, definitely, than Mallon Streak, but the story was just okay. It's a 1980s one, so it's a bit further down the line from Mallon Streak, and the quality has gotten better, but the script is not that strong. It lags in the middle a bit. It's got good elements, but it's only good elements from time to time. It doesn't capture me entirely. I can sit here and I can remember 3 or 4 points of stuff that happened, but I couldn't tell you the whole story of what carries on all the way through. So for that, it goes there. Okay, then we are on to The Man Who Cried. So The Man Who Cried is about a guy called Abel, and Abel is basically he's a dad, he's a husband, and basically comes home one day and finds his wife shagging someone else. So he takes his son, and basically the two of them run away together. The son has no idea that this is happening, so he kind of has to do this make-believe game that they're on an adventure sort of thing, and try and go as fast as he can to get away from his wife. But when new relationship gets brought into that, and the son, obviously he remembers that he has a mother, it leads to some issues further down the line in his life. And it's referred to The Man Who Cried because of situations which the various situations that Abel goes through, and the distinguishing image that his son has in his mind from the day that they ran off was his dad crying. So it's called The Man Who Cried. So this starred Kieran Hines, Angela Walsh, and Amanda Root. This is the first one where I start going, oh, okay, I'm feeling a bit more stable now. The only reason why it's lower down on the list is because of the pacing of it. It feels a bit different. This is also one of the shorter ones, because these dramas range from an hour and 45 minutes, all the way up to A Dinner of Herbs, which is 5 hours. So there's a lot going on, and this one is about the hour and 45 mark. So you see, it's quite a bit of book to cram into that short space of time. So yeah, but it is very interesting also how this is the I was just about to say first one, but no, it's not. It's the second one where our main protagonist in my list that I've read so far is male. And but what is also really interesting is that it's also the one where it's a male and son relationship. Catherine tends to write about women. Her main characters tend to be women. It's what she did. So it is really interesting when you have her write a male protagonist. Obviously I haven't read this book yet, but I am planning to, and I'm quite intrigued to see how she handles writing from a man's perspective for her stories. I'm sure she's going to do great, but it will be interesting to see. But yeah, it's not a bad drama in any regards. It's well put together, it's well paced. It just kind of story wise, I would have it's not the best story. It's not the worst either. So that's The Man Who Cried. Okay, so now we are back to the Mallons. But here's the thing, right? There are 3 more dramas. They are all back to back here at this point, and there are only 2 books. I don't know where the point is where stuff changes. So we have, well, the first one on my list is The Mallon Secret, then The Mallon Curse, then The Mallon Girls. So this is the Mallon Girls, and then this is the Mallon Litter. And I think the Mallon Litter is possibly the last one because of the casting and the characters that I know of. So for the Mallon Secret and the Mallon Curse, we've got Juliet Stevenson, Jerry Sundquist, Caroline Berkiston, and Neil Dickinson. So I have a feeling that the Mallon Litter is what is the Mallon Secret / the Mallon Curse, because this is the last of the generation, the 3 generations that the Mallon story impacts. And then just above those is the Mallon Girls, which is the second one, the one in the middle. So the Mallon Girls impacts women who get involved with the Mallon men, the Mallon sons and such, what happens to them. And then the Mallon Litter, aka Mallon Secret / Curse, is the next generation. So that's how. So the Mallon Streak is about the boys in the family. The Mallon Girls are the women that they go for, and then the Mallon Litter are about their kids. So that's the order. So I put the last ones lower than the middle one. Now the last ones, this is the point where you can I'm sorry, when you watch the Mallon dramas back to back, the first one is very weird. Cause like I said, it's just no music and it's not that great. As soon when you hit the Mallon Girls, it's a different director, and everything just suddenly, there's loads of music and it looks good, and it's like, oh yay, finally we're getting somewhere. The writing is really strong, the story is so well paced, and then you get to the Mallon Secret and Curse, and it's kind of merges the 2. But here's also what's very interesting that I know specifically. The Mallon Curse, because I believe it goes Secret then Curse, the last one, let's say the last one of the Mallon dramas, the 4th one, is different ending than the book. I know that because I looked it up, because I was a bit like, holy fucking hell, that was an ending. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was like, no, Catherine couldn't have written that. And it's true. She wrote a completely different ending for our 2 characters in that final scene that we're following. And yeah, it was so, I'm glad that I totally get why they changed the ending for the drama, because it's more dramatic, but it was just like, wow, that was a choice. And I really liked the way that it was put together, even though Juliet Stevenson's character at times drove me up the fucking wall, because oh my god, her character is just all over the place. She's just but yeah, so it goes Secret, then Curse, then Girls. Girls, I think, is so much better because of the actresses who play the women who come into the Mallon men's lives. They are so good in this drama. I'm like, oh my god, that completely blows like Juliet Stevenson out the water. And this is Juliet Stevenson. I know at the time she was relatively new and such, but still, it's like, I know what Juliet Stevenson can do, and they blew her out of the water for me for those dramas. So there we go. So the end of the Mallon collection. Okay, then we're going to move on to the Cinder Path. That was quite dramatic. The Cinder Path. So the Cinder Path follows a farmer, a guy called Charlie, who it's just had a very simple kind of life. Again, this is one where we've got a male protagonist lead, which is really great. And he gets caught up in the First World War. And such, so you can imagine stuff that goes on with, you know, First World War and everything. And he's a nice guy, but he's always the guy who bad things happen to him, or he's the one that just doesn't get what he wants and such. He's a bit of a loser, which is really sad because I really like him. And he decides, you know, that he's going to go off to war, and in his decision to do that, to stand up and do something that people don't expect him to do, and technically because he's a farmer he doesn't have to do, because at the time of the war it was men with certain jobs, so like bakers and farmers and such, they had the opportunity to stay at home because they had to make sure that the country kept going. But despite that, he decides, no, I have to go, I have to do this to prove myself. And in proving himself, he learns something about himself, and also he learns how strong he really is. And of course there are women that come into his path, and the cast here are Lloyd Owen, Maria Miles, Catherine Zeta-Jones and Polly Adams. All of the cast are really good in this. This is the first one out from the bottom upwards, where I can properly vividly remember everything that happens. So I have gotten to the point where I'm like, this is where I feel like the proper ranking starts happening, because I can remember everything. Lloyd Owen is a really great lead. Catherine Zeta-Jones was a really great to play off of him. This was relatively early in her career. I think she had done Darling Birds of May at this point. Oh, I can't remember if she was still in that program or if that had finished and this was one of her first independent things outside of it. But yeah, she's really strong in this, and he's just a genuinely lovely character, is Charlie. And it was quite a nice little joy of a drama to watch. So this is kind of like my middle section. So the only reason why it's low on the middle section is really because there are so many of these dramas and they are so close together that it's very little things that separate them. So even though it's at the lower end of my middle range stuff, that doesn't mean that it is a bad drama. It's just the way that I just felt stronger for dramas later on in this list than I did for the Cinder Path, but it's still a really genuinely enjoyable drama. Okay, so now we go on to the first drama that I watched. This is the drama that led me down the rabbit hole of Catherine Cookson, and that's Colorblind. Such an interesting story, and having done my research, I have discovered that the book of Colorblind is really quite different from the drama. I don't know specifics because obviously I haven't read it yet, but apparently what I understand of it is that writers very much went, you know what, we're gonna swap this up. So it follows the McQueen's family, and there's quite a few of them. They're quite loud. They're quite prominent in their street where they live, and they have a. Let me just. I think it's something like 3 or 4 kids that I can remember from the drama, and they are a white family. They're very well respected, as I said. And then one day, the eldest daughter of the family comes home because she lives away for work and such, and she brings with her husband, who is black, and announces that she is pregnant. And of course, this is set. I think it's the 1920s at this point, because it spans over like 20 years, this story. So I think it's about the 1920s when this starts. And of course at that time there was a lot of issues with racism and such, and it's very interesting because our kind of main character is their child, who is born. I forgot to mention, they don't realise that her husband is black because his surname is Patterson, and when she writes, "Oh, I've got married to James Patterson," they automatically assume that he's white. So when they open the door and see that he's black, it's a big deal for them. And yes, so it follows the childhood of their daughter, who is treated so badly because she is mixed race, and and she grows up to struggle getting a job or keeping a job because of the color of her skin. And it follows her path in life and the further discriminations and such that she comes across, that she realizes that other people suffer. Sorry, big plane going over my house, really annoying. So yeah, not just the discrimination that she faces, but also discrimination that other people she knows faces. And yeah, it follows her story, and it stars Tony Armstrading. I'm sorry if I'm totally mispronouncing that. Neve Cusack and Jane Larkin. And yeah, it was well put together, but there were some things in it that irked me, and I think it was things that that writers had changed from the book, but because I haven't read the book yet, I don't know for sure. Like, there were things like, there's this whole thing of a man that comes into her life and could she possibly fall in love with him and such, and he's like, "Oh, I don't want to own you," sort of. They have this conversation about how it would look because she is mixed race and everything, and and their discussion starts about, you know, slavery and owning people, and he's like, "Oh no, I don't want to own you," and then he goes out and buys her this brooch that kind of looks like a shackle, and it's like, that's appropriate. What? There's some weird things that happen in this book that's kind of what made me go, So that's why Colorblind is a bit lower on my range of the dramas and such. It's not bad, but there are some questionable choices. And I'm not just saying, because obviously the further you go back and look at this stuff, then there's going to be politically incorrect stuff that is said or happened. I don't feel that the stuff that I'm concerned about is because of political correctness. It's not that. It's just like, that example where it's like, so you've had this man say, "I love you, I don't want to own you, I want to be yada yada yada," and then give her a brooch that looks like a shackle. Like, that's weird. It's just weird. It's weird. So that's why it's lower down. It is well put together. It's got a good pace. I really like the score, especially in this one. The ending's a bit odd, but then again, as I said, I don't know exactly what has changed. But I'd be very much intrigued to read the book and find out what the differences are. Okay, then next up we have the Ragniv, which the book is either known as the Ragniv or the Ragmaid, as I have here. So this follows a girl called Millie, who she, at the beginning of the book, she's with her mother and they're running through the streets to get away from police, and her mum gets arrested for prostitution. And there is a local woman called Aggie who happens to be there at the moment that her mum gets arrested, and takes Millie in, thinking it's just one night, and obviously her mum will go to the courts tomorrow morning, she'll be charged a fine, it'll be fine. I have this kid, it's one night, I'll have this kid out my life. But Maggie ends up staying around because her mother is sentenced to prison. And this follows Millie as she grows up with Aggie. And yeah, it's an interesting story. There are some weird kind of moments in it, but it does cover a lot of things that other books and dramas and that don't, which, like in the Victorian time, looking at exploitation and forced prostitution and that kind of thing, as well as suicide and obviously murders and all that kind of jazz. But it's an interesting story, definitely. Unfortunately, the book wasn't that great. Sorry, there was a sound right outside my window. I don't know what it was. And yeah, it's a good story, but it's not the best. She's written better. I've actually read books of hers that are better than this. So to go through all that Millie does, it's okay, but it's not great. And that's why the Ragniv is very much in the middle drama ranking wise for me. It was okay, it wasn't amazing, but it's a comfortable watch. Like, you'd sit easily and watch it several times and such. So that one starred Val McLean, Honeysuckle Weeks. I love her name. Honeysuckle Weeks. Love it. And Alec Newman. And yeah, it's very well put together. It's a really decent drama. I could watch it over and over again, no problem. Do have an issue with makeup choice for Alex Newman from time to time, especially when he's older, because like there's this whole thing of a I don't know how quite to describe it. It's almost like a deformity on his back, or almost like a hunch, but when we see his back, it's like grey, and at points it's like it's very clear that he's wearing like a lipstick or something. The makeup department didn't do well with that one, and that was from, I think, like 1990 or something, or 1991. So it's not like it was a time when like in the 1970s where there was questionable stuff, makeup and costume and all that wise. It's just, yeah, interesting. So the actual drama itself is pretty decent. It's enjoyable, but the story is not all that amazing. So it sits in the middle for me, but it's not as problematic as Colorblind. So there we go. So I put it a bit higher than Colorblind. Okay. So next up, we've now got 4 where I don't have a copy of the book. So I'm going to have to do this from memory. Sorry, my eyes just decided to go all itchy. There we go. So the first one is The Black Velvet Gown, which stars Bob Peck, Janet McTeer, and Geraldine Somerville. So this is a very, very weird one. So this follows a woman who has 3 kids, who is being chucked out of her home because for lack of paying the rent, and she ends up taking a job at this like farmhouse for working as a maid for a rich man who is by himself, but he has this black velvet gown and like makes her wear it and sit with him. It's very strange. And he like gets obsessed with her children. It's very weird. Almost like he feels like they are his children, and it's like, okay. And the book follows the fact that the mum is then like sort of trapped there in this contract to stay. It then follows the children after that point to find out what happens with their life and all that kind of jazz. So Bob Peck plays the guy who's home the mum goes to. Janet McTeer is the mum, and Geraldine Somerville is the grown-up daughter and how her mother's life impacts her choices. Now, as a story, it's got some questionable things in there, but obviously, you know, as I said, this is a book from a time when there were some things that were considered to be okay to put in books. But yeah, the weird obsession, and like there's a bit with the whole watching them wash themselves in the courtyard that's just a bit creepy. But you know, I'm not going to carry on about that. But it is very well put together, well acted. It's a very short drama. I think it's only like an hour and a half, or an hour and 45 minutes or something. Very, very short. But yeah, really enjoyable. I would watch the drama again. Bob Peck especially is really, really good in this. That yeah, it's a pretty decent story. Although it has some problems. I like the drama. It's well put together. I really like Geraldine Somerville. Geraldine Somerville is really, really good at this. And I think she's the reason why I put it above the Ragniv. If she wasn't playing that role, I have a feeling that this would be lower down, like almost like Cinder Path level. But I love watching her as the daughter taking control of her life and the choices that she makes. And I think she's absolutely brilliant. Okay, then we go on to The Moth. Now, The Moth was the first one because I watched them in order as they are in the box set. Obviously, they're not in this order. And The Moth was relatively early on in the box set, and it was the first one that I went, oh my god, that is actually really sweet. And it stars Jack Davenport, Julia Aubrey, and David Bradley. And Jack Davenport is our main character and plays our main character. Sorry, I can't think of names off the top of my head right now. There's so many characters, so many dramas, so many names. I should have written them down before I recorded, but that's my fault. And he is a very simple man who just literally wants to go about his life, and he doesn't necessarily believe in love and stuff like that. And one day he's out walking in the night, and this woman all dressed in white comes across him, and she's really quite perplexed with him being there, and obviously he's very perplexed by her. And she says some weird and wonderful things and then runs off, and he's like, oh, okay. And then days or weeks later, it's not very clear in the drama, he comes across her again with her sister, who's played by Julia Aubrey, and discovers that they are from like a wealthy family, and they have this farm, and they're actually looking for a farmhand, so he joins the farm. And as time goes on, he finds himself falling in love with Julia Aubrey's character, and it's about their relationship and the whole servant master, or servant mistress, should I say, relationships story. But it's so quite realistic to life, and how you know how in other stories where you have that different level status and such relationship, it's very, you know, brash and passionate and that kind of thing. Not really in this one. It just feels very authentic and true to the characters, true to reality. And that's what I really like about it. It's very, very grounded. There are some really good moments in this. I especially liked later on in the drama. Obviously, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there's, you know, actiony sort of sequences and such. And the ending is really lovely, really genuine. It's the first one that in the box set order that I watched, where I just went, oh, that is such a sweet, I want to watch it again right now. So that's a massive tick on my list, to say, right, now we're getting into the ranges of, this is my top kind of tiers. So I am, hang on, let me see how many I've done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is number 12. And we're getting into my top kind of criteria range of stuff. So yeah, 10 more to go. So then we have the Tides of Life. Now, the Tides of Life is a really, really interesting one, with our main character being played by Gillian Kearney. Gillian Kearney, look her up. She is a fantastic actress. She has been in so much stuff in UK TV that she is absolutely brilliant, and she knows how to play a strong ass character. And the fact that all of Catherine's female protagonists, or even just secondary characters and such, in all of her stories are so strong. It's perfect casting. Perfect casting. I love her in this drama. So yeah, so it's Gillian Kearney, John Bowler, and Diana Hardcastle. I have this distinct image of this drama, which is amazing, which I'll explain in a minute. So basically it follows our main character. Again, I can't think of, I should have written down character names and I didn't before hitting record, but Gillian Kearney's character, she has had to deal with loss of family, just as a lot of Catherine's stories deal with, as well as looking after family members. And it follows her life and the choices that she makes, and distinctly her living in a house that she rented and such, but now with her parents gone, she has to leave home and she has to try and survive along with her sister. And the whole drama always makes me think vividly of Gone with the Wind with Scarlett O'Hara, you know, the scene right before the intermission, going, as God is my witness, if I have to lie, cheat, steal or kill, as God is my witness, I'll never go hungry again. And that quote embodies Gillian Kearney's character. And there is a moment that I was like, you badass bitch, I love you, where she has an issue with a marriage that she gets into, and her husband has issue with alcohol. So what she does, it's absolutely, I have to say it because it's so brilliant. She discovers that he's basically planning to leave her. So she takes all of their furniture out of their house, waits until he comes home, covers it all with his alcohol and sets fire to it. Like, oh my God. And she's like, I have learned in my life that stuff is just stuff. It means fuck all. And I don't need that stuff in order to live. I can do what I need to do. So fuck you to the moon. She just walks away and I'm like, yes, girl. Yes, I love her for doing that. Oh my God, yeah. And the Tides of Life, because obviously there's, with, you know, in and out and everything, that there's always going to be some amazing things and there's always going to be some bad things, but she never breaks. She never bends. She is true to herself, and I'm like, you badass bitch, I love you. Love you. If I do get the book of that, I'm going to have to start reading it ASAP because I want to read that book so much. And then we're on to The Wingless Bird. Now, The Wingless Bird is set in the 1900s again, so we are going into First World War. And this stars Claire Skinner, Anne Reid, and Julian Wadham. So Claire Skinner's character, she works in her family sweet shop with her mum, dad, and her sister. And she just has this life where not much happens, and she's very much, I've just got to do what I've got to do and such, and she very much cares about the family business. And then one day she meets a man who comes into the sweet shop to buy a few things for his niece and nephew, and gets kind of swept off his feet by her. And it's all about their relationship, but then connections with the family, and then further on through. So it goes into over like 20 years and such, and there's in the ending sequence you find out about further generations they're on, and it's very interesting that she decided to do that when she did. Sorry, that doesn't make any sense what I just said. Sorry, that the reason why Catherine set the story when she did, because the final bit it revealed in the final scene is to do with something in history which a lot of people don't remember happening, or don't even think about it as being a thing that got written into law until like the 1950s or something, or later than that. So it is really interesting that she decided to make that a premise of her story, so she had to set it when she did. It's a good little drama. I do like Claire Skinner's character. She's quite bold and such, and she knows what she wants from the world, but she also knows that at times she's got to clean up some family shit, let's put it that way, and she's gonna do it. She's not just gonna go, no, fuck you, I'm having my own life. She knows that family is first, and she will do what she has to do for the family. So yeah, I found the Wingless Bird a very interesting one, and it properly plays with, because the way that the war is shot, like Cinder Path, there are a war sequence in there, but it's very much, you can tell you're on a backlog of a studio, following in the natural daylight, following all those stuff. Whereas the Wingless Bird, there's a lot of in the dark explosion stuff going off, because it's a depiction of war. It's a proper dramatising of war in a Catherine Cookson drama that is very well done. So that's why it's in my higher ranges and such, because the quality of the drama and that, but it's at the lower range because there are further ones that I just feel are stronger. Okay, so then we go on. I'm back at books that I can hold up. Now this one, actually, I had to watch it twice to take it seriously, but it is a really good drama. It's The Glass Virgin. Now the reason why I had to watch it twice is because this is a director's choice. Obviously, it's so obviously a director's choice, but it just, oh god, it made me laugh. It made me laugh. And it was Brendan Coyle. There's stuff that Brendan Coyle does in this drama where I found myself pissing laughter. I couldn't help it. So this book, it follows a girl called Annabelle from when she's young through to when she's about 17, 18, into her early 20s. And she basically, her father owns like a glass house, making glass and such. And so she knows all of this stuff about glass. It's very weird, but it's part of the, she inherited family. And she has this weird relationship with her mother, but her mother is not her mother. That's a whole nother thing. And her father is very much, he goes out, does whatever the hell he wants and doesn't really care. And she is his illegitimate child. And one day he discovers that basically business has gone bust because of XYZ and various debts and such, and so it's over, they've got no money. And there is a guy who is a servant to them, is it called Milo? I can't remember his, hang on, let me just check the back of the book in case it says. Oh, it doesn't say. I think it might be Milo. It's something. It's a very. Oh no, it's Manuel. Manuel Mendoza. That's it. Sorry, I got the name wrong. But Manuel, who is played by Brendan Coyle, who has known her since she was young because he saved her life. And it's about their relationship and stuff that happens to them and the choices that they make, trying to survive, as it were, with no money and everything. And the director's choice is that Brendan Coyle plays Manuel, Emily Mortimer plays Annabelle, and then Nigel Havers plays her father. So those are the big names. And she is very naive as Annabelle. She doesn't know anything about sex and all that lot, and becoming attracted to men. And then one day she sees him washing his face, and she suddenly gets kind of turned on by it. But he's like very erotically washing his face like this, and he does it multiple times in the drama, and it just like, oh my god, I've never seen anything like this. Brendan Coyle so erotically washing his face. Like, people don't wash their faces like that. They don't. It was just, it made me laugh. I couldn't help it. So I had to watch it again and just, you know, get that laughter out of my system, watch it again to take it seriously. And when I watched it again, I realised it is a really well-paced drama. The acting is good. The choices were great. There were some really dark moments in there that were very well covered. And overall, I really enjoyed it, and I'd watch it over and over and over again. Yeah, I just had to get those initial laughters out of my system. Sorry, my voice is starting to go funny. Oh gosh, 51 minutes in. I'll try and get through the last ones of these as quick as I can. But yeah, it was well put together. I really like the story. I'm really intrigued to read the book, and yeah, see how the book compares. That it's a really decent little drama. So okay, then we are on to The Round Tower. So The Round Tower is set in the 1950s, where you've got characters. Our two main characters are, is it, hang on, I've got to read the back of it. Vanessa Radcliffe, that's it, and Angus Cotton, that's it. They're from two completely separate families, two different levels of society, and Vanessa basically gets shunned by her family because of a situation she got into where basically she gets pregnant when she's in school by an older friend of the family. It's gross. It's utterly gross. And also she's laid out by everyone, including her teachers, and it's like, oh, that's gross. That is really gross. But she very much wants to be her own woman and such, but she recognizes that she's in a bad situation, and Angus out of nowhere just, you know, takes her in and such, and they have known each other for you know, some time, but they don't know each other properly. And this is all about their relationship developing during the course of her pregnancy. And yeah, and then the life choices after that point, and how this situation impacts them on multiple different levels across many years and such. And it's, yeah, I found this really fascinating to watch. Not only from obviously drama perspective, acting perspective, and stuff like that, but also from the choices the director made, because this is about the 1950s, shot in the 1990s, and it wasn't, at the time, it wasn't all that long ago. So obviously they're using modern music, there's completely different shooting techniques compared to other dramas. So like, for example, other dramas that are Victorian and such, they use a lot of candlelight and, you know, all of that kind of thing, whereas the 1950s, we don't have that problem, and there's, you know, loads of like rock music and all this lot's going on, rock and roll and everything. So yeah, the choices that the director made for it is really interesting. So this one stars Ben Miles. Ben Miles is a really interesting actor, really like underrated actor, Ben Miles is brilliant in Coupling, a comedy called Coupling. If you ever get a chance to watch it. It's brilliant. And he stars with Emilia Fox and Jane Harvey. Emilia Fox plays Vanessa, and Ben plays Angus. And yeah, Emilia Fox is very, very interesting in this as well. She was pretty young when this got made. So yeah, it's a really decent gem of a drama. And there were some moments where I did not expect whatsoever. I was like, holy fucking hell. So you know, whenever stuff like that happens, I'm like, yeah, it caught my attention. I remember it. I remember all the silly little arguments. I remember all the big moments. So it must have done good in order for me to do that. And I just liked it just that touch more than the Glass Virgin, which is why it made it one slot higher. Okay, guys, I am at my I'm at the final five. Final five. So at number 5, it is The 15 Streets, starring Sean Bean, Owen Teale, Jane Horrocks, and Claire Holman. Absolute gem of a drama. This drama is not just well put together, well constructed, well acted, well edited, brilliant score. It is also word for word verbatim dramatized. It's not that big a book, and it's only like an hour and a half, I think an hour and 45-minute drama. But my God, it is one of the best adaptations that I have seen in a while, from page to screen. It is so well done. Owen Teale, he as he's gotten older, and obviously he's done various other TV shows and films and such, his popularity has grown, and it's so deserved. But especially in this role, I think he's brilliant. I like it really. His star, you know, started shining, get the attention, and go, oh, you keep an eye on this guy because he's got quite a career for him. And my God, he's had an amazing career. I actually saw him perform at the Everyman Theatre in Cheltenham years ago, and he was just, I couldn't keep my eyes off of him. He was just brilliant. Really great actor, and he stars alongside Sean Bean. Sean Bean plays his brother. Like, they are so great together, and Jane Horrocks is really great as well, as this person who's moved to the area, and she's quite different from everybody else, as it were, but she's a lovely light in the whole course of this quite bleak story. But Owen Teale and Sean Bean's chemistry is just like amazing. So yeah, they are absolutely brilliant, and it's breaks my heart every time I watch it. It's just so sad. Then in at number 4, it's The Girl, Hannah and Ned. I think so far of what I've read, they are my favourite Catherine Cookson couple. I love their chemistry so much, and yes, he may have said some messed up shit at one point, and yes, she made some questionable choices, but they are so beautiful together, and the drama is so brilliant at depicting their relationship. You can just feel the warmth, the chemistry between the guy who plays Ned and the woman who plays Hannah, who are Jonathan Cake and Siobhan Flynn. It's undeniable. They are brilliant together in this drama, and it's also stars Mark Benson, who is so good. It's one of Mark Benson's earlier career pieces that another actor who has been in loads of stuff. He is a really good dramatic actor, and this is one of, you know, the first things that I really hope that people went, you should pay attention to this guy. I really like Mark Benson. He's just an all-round good actor, and yeah, I think he's a bit of a gem in the acting world. Just for UK television, the stuff that he's done is brilliant. But yeah, Jonathan Cake and Siobhan Flynn's chemistry is just wonderful, and the story always makes me beam. It's great. I realise I haven't told you what the story is. Oh, I didn't actually for 15 Streets, did I? Sorry, 15 Streets is about a couple of warring brothers and the situations that they get in. That's my single line synopsis. Hannah and Ned live in this village. Hannah comes to the village when she's very young as the illegitimate child of a man called Matthew, who's very rich, who lives at the big house, and Hannah gets delivered there by her mum, and her mum dies, and it's like, okay, we've got this kid we've got to look after. And Matthew's really nice, and his wife is an absolute bitch. And it's all about Hannah growing up and discovering who she is, both obviously actually who she is as a person, but also who is her family, basically, and her relationship with Ned. Oh, it's just so lovely. I love it so much. But especially with this drama, every single element is like a tick, 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 tick. And this is number 4. This is number 4, everyone. Okay, so if every single box is ticked at number 4, can you imagine what the top 3 are going to be like? So yeah, I watched The Girl over and over and over again. I love The Girl so much. It is brilliant. So at number 3, and it's only ever so slightly above The Girl because it's a bit more actiony, and so there's more opportunities for them to do different techniques in editing and such compared to The Girl, and for that's why this is number 3. It's The Secret, but the book is known as The Harrogate Secret. So this follows a guy called Freddie, and he's this is a bit with the story. It sounds a bit weird. It's all to do with he likes to ride boats and navigating water and stuff like this. And he's considered to be very lucky. Like everybody who comes across his path suddenly gets like very lucky and caught up with like win money or doesn't have to be thrown out the house or stuff like that. He's the lucky kid and he runs around and people are very much fawning over him. And this, I'm pretty sure this girl's got, hang on, let me just check. Yeah, this is one where there's another story where the girl is called Maggie. That's it, because there are multiple dramas, multiple Catherine Cookson stories where characters share the same names. And I was thinking, Maggie, is that Aggie? And I was thinking Ragniv. No, it's Maggie. And yeah, he comes across this baby, basically, like this lucky kid has found and rescued a baby, a little girl called Maggie, who he kind of acts as protector over, but there's a whole secret surrounding Maggie, who she is, why she's there. Then he basically becomes like her protector, and it's all about looking after Maggie, making sure she's safe, and obviously relationship developing and all stuff like that. But overall, it's like, yay, I'm the lucky kid. You want some luck? Come near me. And he rescues this child's life. It's a lot more actiony, like I said. There's multiple actiony kind of sequences in this. But overall, it's a drama. It's very well acted, very well constructed. I really liked the cast, who were Colleen Bouchan, June Whitfield, and Hannah Yelland. This is an interesting one. This is one where I feel like it's probably going to be one of those ones where they might have changed quite a few things compared to the book, but I don't know. But overall, the feeling, I kept on going, oh holy shit, when I was watching it, and because of that, the starting thing, that's why I had to put it above the girl. It's just a good quality as the girl, but I feel like the Harrogate Secret, because it's got more of those kind of moments, it plays a lot more with the editing of those moments, and also like the sound and music and all that lot. I think it needs to be higher up, but I love the story more of the girl. It's very weird. I know. You think because I didn't love the story as much it would be lower, but I can't deny the quality of the drama. So I have to put it in third. I might actually watch this again sometime soon, because yeah, I couldn't think clearly for a moment then the actual premise of the story. Or maybe it's because I've been rambling on for over an hour now. But I've only got 2 left, so not long to go now, guys. So in at number 2, these 2 were so hard to separate. But I did. And at number 2, it's Tilly Trotter. So there are 3 Tilly Trotter books, but only 1 Tilly Trotter drama. And I don't know if that drama only covers like 1 book, or if it's like 1.5 books. They were going to do another one and it just never happened. I don't know. But yeah, Tilly Trotter has some deep dark shit in there. First of all, I'm gonna say it's got some deep dark stuff going on. Okay, we have got like, there's this sequence where an old lady gets jumped on, hit around the face and such. She gets a bookcase, she gets crushed by a bookcase, dragged outside her house to set on fire. That's one instance in this thing. 1 instance. And it's like, holy moly. Tilly Trotter, played by Carly Norris, is one of my favourite Catherine Cookson heroines ever. She is unbelievable. Like, talk about a kick-ass female lead. Oh my god, she is incredible. So that woman was her grandmother, and literally she's found out all the way. She does up her boots, she hitches up her skirts, and she goes off and she like tries to get revenge on what happened to her. And oh my god, she doesn't crumble, she doesn't falter. She does whatever the fuck she needs to do, and she will not let people intimidate her. And I'm like, yes. She is a queen. I love Tilly Trotter, and this follows her life. Now, as I said, you know, there are 3 books, and I don't know which book or books this drama covers, but the ending's got quite an abrupt ending, and it feels like it should carry on, but it doesn't. So I do wonder if they had intended to make another drama depending on the popularity of the first one, and perhaps the first one wasn't popular enough in order for it to be commissioned to have a sequel. That's what my thinking is. But Carly Norris plays her absolutely beautifully, and alongside her is Gavin Abbott and Simon Shepherd. And yeah, so it basically just follows the life of Tilly Trotter. It's brilliantly put together. Like, I cannot take my eyes off the screen when I am watching Tilly Trotter. I love every single second of it. I love how they deal with her loud and strong character. I love how she's just not quite fit in, and even in the shots and such, she's always kind of like a bit awkward at the side and stuff. It's so well done. I love it. And there's some, well, as I said, you know, as my example, there's some really quite traumatic stuff in this, and some quite hard-hitting moments in there, but they deal with it well, or as well as they possibly can, given that example. And yeah, it's just sensational. absolutely sensational. The one I've got to put at number 1, because I love it with all of my heart, it's A Dinner of Herbs. A Dinner of Herbs follows 3 children. So we've got Roddy, Mary Ellen, and oh God, name's fallen out of my head. Hal! How could I forget Hal? Oh God, that's very bad of me. But then I've got a lot of Catherine Cookson characters flying through my head right now. And Hal, who have grown up together, almost like siblings, but they're not siblings. I know they're not siblings. And it's all about their relationship and how the decisions that they make, and even decisions that are made for them when they are children, how that ricochets through and affects multiple generations down the line. This is a drama that's 5 hours, so it's not a case of that they've had to rush. This is like 800 odd pages, so they've had a lot of material to go through. And yes, they've changed things, they've added things, they've cut things, but what they've done makes total and utter sense, having read the book. So I am more than happy with what they did with it. So the main cast that I wrote down, but this is only a few of them because there are so many characters. There's well over 100 characters in A Dinner of Herbs, so you know there's a lot going on. There is Jonathan Kerrigan, Melanie Clark Pullen, and Tom Goodman Hill. Tom Goodman Hill is such a good actor and so underrated. I love him as Hal in this drama. He's another actor. Check him out if you haven't already. He's done like various TV shows. Radio plays. He likes to be in radio plays. I listen to him quite often. Yeah, Tom Goodman Hill, brilliant. What was I saying? Yeah, so they've had plenty of time to play with it, and what they've done with it makes total and utter sense to the story, to the characters. Nothing is cheated, and because they've got the extra time, they are able to do this drama properly. The score is wonderful. The settings, the scenery, stunning. The actors, great. The characters, all well developed. I adore A Dinner of Herbs. A Dinner of Herbs has become like a drama where I feel like I need it. I need something that's really going to put me in a good mental state, and I just love so much. It has to be A Dinner of Herbs, and I can't take my eyes off the screen when I watch it. It's absolutely incredible. So there we go, guys. I did it. I ranked all of the Catherine Cookson dramas from the Catherine Cookson collection. So we have got, in order from worst to best, we have got The Gambling Man, The Mallon Streak, The Dwelling Place, The Man Who Cried, The Mallon Secret, The Mallon Curse, The Mallon Girls, The Cinder Path, Colorblind, Ragniv, The Black Velvet Gown, The Moth, The Tides of Life, The Wingless Bird, The Glass Virgin, The Round Tower, The 15 Streets, The Girl, The Secret, Tilly Trotter, and A Dinner of Herbs. I did it! Yay! Now, if there are any clips and such that I'm able to find or whatever, something, I'll try and put them in the description if I remember to do that. But yeah, if you want to buy the DVD, I'm sure you might be able to find it on like Amazon. That's where I found mine. My copy was on Amazon. But you might be able to find it in other places as well. And yeah, if you ever get a hold of them, watch them. I really recommend, because since all of them are individual, obviously you don't have to watch all of them, or you can just watch some ones that you might be interested in seeing. But yeah, they're so enjoyable individually as well as in the collection themselves, and they've ranged from like the 1970s to 2001, I think, is the last one that got made. So it's quite a span, so you can see quite a range of quality. But I really hope that if you are looking into the collection, or if you have watched any of the collection before and you're interested in other ones, that this video although I was being as brief as possible because there's a lot to go over in this video, gives you a good idea of all the individual dramas and how I felt about them. And yeah, if you've watched any of these, please let me know what you think. I'd be really interested to get your thoughts on your ranking if you have one. So yeah, I'm going to stop now because I feel like I need to cough and get some water. So enough of my rambling. I will see you later. Bye.